Welcome to another Palm Wine Central podcast episode. I'm one of your hosts, Uncle K. With me, I got my good peoples, man. T, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday? I almost say Saturday. Wow.
I'm good. Thanks.
Tutu, how are you doing?
Hola, I'm good. Happy Tuesday. Taco Tuesday, Tequila Tuesday. I'm good.
Yeah, adding tequila to the Tuesday. I thought it was just Taco Tuesday.
No, but tacos and tequila go together.
Oh, okay. Just want to be drunk.
I actually haven't drank tequila in a very long time, so just throwing it out there.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Anyways, we got some, great guests today joining us. A returning guest, by the way. How about?
Yes, sir.
How you doing? How you doing, bro? How you doing? Welcome back.
Doing great, man. So glad to be back. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be in the midst of great minds. So I'm excited.
We'll take it. We appreciate it. Yeah. So, Viresh, welcome to Power Central Podcast. It's your first time on the platform. How you doing? How are you feeling?
Hey everyone. Hey, thanks AK. Thanks for inviting me. And yeah, this is my first podcast, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah, had a good day. Can't complain.
Yeah. Tell the people a little bit about yourself. Who's Viresh? Tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I was born in India, and I moved here to do my masters. Now I'm working here in the IT industry. I work with AK. Yeah, that is it. I live in Grand Rapids, and I've been living here for more than 10 years now. Yeah, loving it here.
Nice.
Except the bad winters. Yeah,
But you still love
that
it.
is it.
You still love it. You still love it. Yeah. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. DJ Barak.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, DJ Barak.
My bad, I was muted. Hi everyone.
Welcome.
Hello, latecomer. Hello.
I'm on daddy duties, man. Leave me alone.
Okay, well, let you slide. This is a Father's Day special. Let you slide. Hello, greetings.
Hi everyone. Sorry I'm late, guys.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. Welcome to the show again. DJ Barak. I don't think you need an introduction. You guys already know DJ Barak. He's a returning guest to the show. I had a long intro to go, but I'm not going to read all of that. I'll spare you guys the reading. So let's get into it. It's a Father's Day special. This one. So we're talking to the fathers, the grandfathers, the godfathers, the uncles. Everybody. Come on in. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss what it is. To be, dad, man. All of that good stuff. So let's start like this. The old script said, a man provides. But in 2025, with many women being financially independent, what does being a provider mean? Does it still hold the same connotation? Is it still about money? Or has it evolved? Has it morphed into something different, right? Like presence, protection, emotional support, things like that. Let's start it. Let's discuss. Let's get that cat out of the bag. What does it really to mean? Want to be a man and to provide. So let's start with our biggest bro here. How about?
Yeah. Amazing question. 2025. What does it mean to be a man? For me, I would say that things have evolved from what it used to be in the time of our parents and our grandparents, with the inclination now towards financial independence for women. Women are making their own money, and the statistics actually show that a lot of women are doing way better than men when you look at it in terms of averages. And so, with women doing very well, making their own money, there's been a shift in terms of what is required of a man. Of course, yes, as a man, you still have to provide for your family, but then it's not so super focused or hyper focused on just providing a check and then that's it. There's more of an expectation now of, you need to be a listening ear, right? Be an emotional support to your partner. Be present. Be assured that she can cry on if she needs to. Be present for the kids. Take the kids out to the playground. Go play with them. Make sure that you're present in their lives. Also support with, childcare, taking care of them at home, changing diapers and pull-ups. These are things that, some of our parents and grandparents never did. It was all on the mothers to do. In some cases, even cooking as well. It doesn't hurt, to say, hey, I'm whipping up a meal today. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of that. And so there's a lot more that men are doing now in that regard. And I think we should normalize that. We should normalize that. Hey, it's okay. It's important for the man to be present. It's okay for the man to not only say, "Hey, I'm the breadwinner, so I'm out there hustling and chasing, whatever it is," but also being present in the life of the children, being that father figure to them, being that mentor to them that they can see at home, a role model to them, that they can be able to learn the things that you want to learn from them. Because right now, social media, in the age of social media and TikTok and all whatnot, kids spending a lot of time on screens, it's dangerous for your kids to be learning from different avenues that you have no control over, because by the time you look at it, you find yourself in a place that you never expected. I was talking to this friend the other day, and in her case, it's a little bit unfortunate in the sense that her husband passed away. And so she has three kids, three boys, all boys. She finally had to send her first son to Rwanda to go spend some time with her younger sister and, be in that environment where he can be groomed and, traditional African culture and all of that, because it was becoming very difficult for her to take care of all three boys. And you know how it is with boys. And at the same time, working to make sure that they are taken care of, because she works as a nurse. And so, the schedule of a nurse and how that is. And she said that, yeah, that the day she sat down and cried, because she just wished that if her husband was around, some of the things that were happening, she believes that he would have been able to nip that in the bud. And so it was rather unfortunate she had to finally send him to Rwanda. And they say he has been picking up. He's doing well, doing better over there. And the plan is for him to eventually come back to the States. So again, it just goes to buttress the importance of, having that father figure being present. So I'll say for me, in 2025, that role has evolved from just being the paycheck provider, being the financial provider, to being the emotional support, being creating a safe space, a space of psychological safety and social safety for the family, being that voice of reason, being the person who your spouse can be able to lean on, being a thought partner, to build together, whatever it is, like come up with ideas, build businesses together with your spouse, that partnership, a co-laborer. So those are some of the things I would say for me that I'm seeing in 2025, and how things have shifted from how it used to be in the traditional days of our grandparents and great-grandparents and parents, and how things are evolving today. But there is still the need for the man to make sure that he's bringing the bread too. So it's all encompassing. It's that holistic view of thinking about it that way.
You mentioned something about being present. Barack, let me ask you this, right? You're a well-renowned DJ. You still also have your 9 to 5. You spend quite some time, entertaining. When you speak about being present and speak about, being there for the kids, school, making sure the homework is done, also morals and all of that, right? What does that mean to you?
Man, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that would really expatiated on the role of being a dad in the 21st century. Where I think there's one thing that is missing. Being a black dad is harder than people even imagine. They want us to be superheroes. I'll be honest.
Explain.
Yeah. So the expectation is still, I think nothing has really changed traditionally on the expectation of a man, what a man or a provider male or a good dad should look like. It's always been work hard, bring the bread, either go hunting and come back with the meat and feed the family, protect them, you know, emotionally, psychologically for your wife, your kids, and the community at large. So for the black male, I think for some reason we're looked upon as we have to be superheroes. I'll be honest with you guys, meaning that you have to work twice as hard, you have to be always present, and the money. I'm not gonna lie, we can sugarcoat it, but the provider male in 21st century money is it's almost like a forehead stamp. I'm sorry. You can still be present, but if that money is not coming through like your family and the lifestyle that your family is expecting from you, I'm sorry. You'll still be looked at as a failure.
Yep.
Or you still be looked at as not that role model that your kids or your family will be proud of, honestly speaking. Because you can still have a guy work at McDonald's and still be present in their kid's life, take them to games, be emotionally supportive of his wife, or even try to start a business. And you still be looked at as, why are you not making six figures? Why are you not making seven figures? Why are you not making $1 million a year? Because standard of living has changed. Back then, when I was growing up, six figures was like, man, you're like a millionaire in our head. But today, making six figures is like, depending on where you live, you're broke, honestly. And the kind of lifestyle you live, you're really poor. You're poor. So, and I think AK really alluded to the fact, and the question really hit home when he asked that question, like, how the hell do you create time with being a DJ or doing 9 to 5? And I've actually I started a real estate business as well, where I'm doing flips now. So technically, I'm stretched to like the T. And I think the best answer to that, AK, is my upbringing. Number one, that's what is really humbling me. Number one, to know that if my dad was not there to whoop me, to teach me, and coming to this country as an immigrant, we started doing ESO. My dad was a teacher here, so he basically humbled me by whooping me and making sure that my grades were good. And if I wasn't doing too well, he would sit me down on the table for hours. I will cry until I get it right, So I'm trying to instill that same psychology in my kids. So my upbringing, number one, AK, is what is humbling me and guiding me through that process. Number two, I'm using my own experience from, the little experience that I grew up back home in boarding school life, going through boarding school, and trying to instill that in my kids by trying to be available as much as I can. It's hard, but the only thing you can do is really try. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job because managing, work, DJ live, because I DJ almost every weekend. I'll be honest with you guys. It's been close to like 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where some days I'll DJ from Thursday to probably Sunday and still find time to take my kids. So I'll give you an example. Simple things like taking my kids for a walk before I go DJ on the weekends. Something that's simple, right? I think my kids miss it because moms, as good as they are, they cannot be dads. So you need that male figure to do some fatherly things that, play with them, be childish. I play with my kids like literally like I'm their age. And I think my wife is not the same way, where she's a little bit stricter, she's more well structured, and I'm not. I'm very spontaneous. I can wake up today and say, let's go to California or let's go to Africa. And she'll be like, are you crazy? But yes, I can literally do that. And I think kids need that in their life, where they need somebody that with that balance, right? Somebody that is very straightforward and the other person is not always very strict and on time, and somebody that's playful, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that can, be kids. And some of the things I do that I think helps, fill that void, even if I'm not there on the weekends or I'm so busy and caught up with life as a whole, is shower time. Me and my kids will play like crazy in the shower. Like basic stuff like that. They remember it like crazy and they miss it. Taking them for a walk or planning like a trip once in a blue moon, because I travel too. I travel a lot, so taking them on like random vacations, right? Like actually, I'm busy today because I was actually late because I took my son to get a haircut, because we're going to Orlando tomorrow to spend a week. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I haven't really, the whole summer last year, I did not take them out because I was crazy busy. So this year, I was like, you know what? I have to, like, you have to make effort. You have to, like, you have to say, I have to do it. Like, you really, really have to put your foot down, and because you will really lose your kids. And that tablet time, like Table really mentioned, I'll testify, it hurts our kids. Because my son came in during COVID, and my daughter came in post COVID, and I can tell there's a big difference between them. She is 10 times smarter than him. Like, she picks up like this. Cognitive brain is really good. But guess what? He is picking up as well because the mom is really holding him down and teaching him. So the void is what I cannot provide. My wife really feels in to stay with him to like try. She's more patient than I am. I will whoop him because I'm not patient. If it really doesn't work out for me. So guys, I can really go on and on and on. But my childhood and doing little things with them, like going for a walk and shower time and gardening, just basic stuff in the house. Yep.
Viresh, not to put your business out there, a little permission, yes, granted. So you are you are a new dad, one, right? From India, and to most, you've done something which is out of the norms, which is you married outside of your culture, right?
Right.
That too. So you could talk about that. But in all of that, how is it being a new dad? The feeling for one, and then two, marrying outside of your culture, right? Was that difficult for you? And as you raise your kid, right? As you're raising this, your beautiful, daughter, what plans do you have for her? Aspirations, and speak of culture, right? All of that, like, yeah.
Yeah. So I come from a different background and different country, different ethnicity, and all that. And my wife is from a different background, so she's white. So we definitely have different upbringing and different culture, right? So it's sometimes it's good that you get the best of both the worlds, and sometimes you have some point of conflicts where you think yours is a better way and she thinks hers is a better way, and things like that. But those things tend to happen when people are from two different worlds. But we tend to agree to disagree, or like get the best of the both worlds and move on. So yeah, so I'm a pretty brand new dad. So she's 15 months old, and it's a pretty great feeling. So few years before I met my wife, I had never wanted kids. I mean, like, I wanted and I didn't want. I was kind of like very indeterminate about that. So when after I met my wife, and we talked about having a baby and all that, so I started getting baby fever looking at the kids around me. So we finally had kid. I mean, baby. So she is 15 months now, and it's been a pretty great feeling. You know, uh, I uh, I mean, it's really hard to put in words, but you know, as I'm pretty new and we are trying to provide her the best life, uh, so I always think about how my upbringing was, and I try to relate to it on how I could make myself better and how I could raise her better than how I was raised, right? So, and also my wife has her inputs, and she she tells me some things, and I do some things in my way, and we are still trying to see, like, put out both our perspectives and see what is better for our baby. And yeah, so we have plans for her, like, like simple things, right? Like shower time, bedtime, dinner time. The timings are different. I mean, she was raised to have early dinners, and I was raised to have little late dinners and things like that. And what is the best time for the baby to go to bed? What is the best time to go for dinner? uh, we have adjusted now, but we don't know how she would get adjusted to it, like as she grows older. But so far, it's pretty good. And this is my second Father's Day, and she's she is understanding a little bit now. She's saying "dada" and stuff like that. So with her baby language, uh, it's pretty great so far, and I'll see how it goes from here on.
All right, so I kind of wanted to like spin back, but I'm gonna bounce off what Varesh said first, and I'm gonna go back. So, question for you guys: when we're talking about partners, and us women, we had an episode where we discussed women's high standards and things like that. So, for you men, let's be honest. What are your standards for a partner today? I mean, granted, you guys all have partners, but before, what was your standard, or what was, I don't want to say the requirement, or let's say the expectation when looking for that person? And when men are selective about their choices, is it viewed as legitimate or dismissed as arrogance? Whereas, like some of us, when us women, we have like, oh, I want so and so, and this is my standards, this is my expectation. It comes off as like, all right, y'all are just doing a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that to Barack. Go ahead.
Tutu, I don't know where to start. That was a lot. Standards. Oh man. My standards were very simple. Cook, clean, and sex. Simple. Very simple. That's it. It has never changed. It's always been that.
Okay. All right. And before we move on, right? So like, I know we've had a conversation also about like standards and expectations. So that's your standard, right? That's not like, or it's like, that's what's expected.
That's my standard, and that's what's expected.
Okay. All right. Got you. Okay. All right. Taba, go ahead. What's yours?
In terms of, let me see, man, I had high standards, so, and I believe that everybody should have high standards because, like they say, I'm a Christian, so like they say that the second most important decision you ever make in your life, apart from say giving your life to Christ, is who you get married to. And that's a very important decision because this is somebody you're going to do life with. You're going to have kids with this person. You're going to build a life together. It's for better, for worse. So it's not about being on Bella Niger because these days people are thinking about the wedding. The wedding is for a day. In India, I'm sure Virish can allude to this. I heard Indian weddings could go up to 7 days, right? Yeah, so it's they can have. So let's assume, okay, Indian standard, you do your wedding 7 days, but people forget that this is marriage is for a lifetime. Oh, it's not when I'm not feeling this thing anymore, I can just walk out. No, it's supposed to be forever and ever. If we are living till we're 90 years, 100 years old, it means we're going to be together. So let's make this thing clear. And so if you're making this decision, it's not like you're getting a job. You could decide to. I've had jobs where I got a job 1 month, and I'm like, I don't like this job. I'm switched, turned that in my resignation letter, moved on to the next job. Marriage is not a job. It's not a project. This is a lifetime commitment. And so for me, there are a number of things I had to check out. First one, I'm somebody who likes my peace of mind because I'm always thinking about like entrepreneurial ideas. My brain is working around the clock, and my wife knows this. And so me having somebody who will be stressing me unnecessarily, no way. Like I need to always be in that calm state so that I can be able to think, and come up with ideas. And so I needed to make sure, number one, you're not going to stress me. I don't like nagging. I don't like, sweating the small stuff. No, and so those are things I was checking off for. And I realized that she was also an easygoing person and didn't bring me stress in the dating phase when we're dating. I'm like, okay, check. The second thing I was looking out for, like Barack said, the cooking. You guys cook. It's very important. They say the way to the man's heart is through his belly. So needed to make sure. And another thing is, so my wife is Cameroonian, but she came here when she was 11 years old. And so I wanted to make sure that, the traditional Cameroonian elements were still present. And so if I need you to cook me eru and fufu, on dole or porridge plantain, corn chop, whatever it is, she's got that down. I don't have to struggle about that. I know when we're dating, she said, "Oh, I don't like cooking." Oh, the day she said that, I was like, "Hey, this girl is amazing, but it looks like she's falling down the slope." But then she didn't like cooking, but she knows how to cook. And so eventually it played out in the sense that, hey, yes, push comes to shove, she'll make sure the family is taken care of. But it's not like a hobby. Like some people really love cooking, where they will not mind doing, maybe say have a cooking show or something. She's not one of those people. But she'll make sure that she would cook for her family to be fine. Check. And then another thing for me was, I remember, this was like the first month or so when we started talking. I bought a book on Amazon and sent to her. I said, "Please, I would like us to read this book together." And I kid you guys not, if she hadn't read that book with me, probably would have moved on. Oh. It was a book about singleness and dating and preparing to be married. Like, I'm very intense like that because, again, I'm a geek in many respects. I love reading, and I wanted to make sure that we are on the same page because I've read the book already, and it was a book that really sets the foundation for what a relationship should be like. I've been through other relationships in the past. There was one where it was a little bit abusive, so I wanted to make sure that, hey, this person I'm about to do life with understands what the foundational elements of a marriage should look like and how you prepare yourself and all of that. So I remember when I bought that book and I was like, "Hey, did you receive a book? Or did Amazon deliver a book?" She was like, "Yeah." Like, what is this? And I said, "Well, I want us to read it together." She was like, "Man, I don't know about that." I just went to my Disney. I was like, okay. But then she came around it and she was like, "Okay, we'll read the book together." And I was like, "Yeah, check." So these are some of the things for me that I wanted to make sure that, hey, this person has them down packed, and then we can be able to move forward. So I had some pretty high standards, and yeah, I'm not sure about it because I've been through some situations. So, and I wanted to make sure that with this one, it had to be the right thing because I'm here for the long haul. I'm not here for just to have a good time and then after that we split and the kids now the ones who are affected because of a messy situation. So those are some of the things that I had in place.
Rush, do you want to answer that? I have something to say.
I have a response to him too.
I'm like, wait a minute, because let me find out you changing the game out here. I'm gonna start reading with these men that I'm trying to date because what? Somebody talking about, so you need to read this book with me. I'm like,
That's dope. I like that.
that's a
Thanks.
game changer right
That's
there.
dope.
Thanks.
I would have looked at it like,
Yeah, who's this guy?
I got your book and I'm about to send it right back because why? But that could also be a test too to see if you can read because some people nowadays they don't know how to read, so that could
Exactly.
that could be
Yeah.
good. That's a game changer. That's smart. Okay.
Yep. You want to share?
Yeah, I mean, like pretty much the same things too. In my culture, like when people get married, they say they do take 7 steps. In the Hindu faith, we believe in reincarnation, right? Like karma and reincarnation. So during the wedding ritual, they husband and wife, they take 7 steps. That means for the next 7 lives, you are my husband and you are my wife. So that we believe in that. And once you are married, like it is not just for the life, for the next 7 lives,
Wow.
And hopefully it's get a good wife and a good husband and go with for the next 7 lives. And people joke about that too, but that's apart. That's the perspective of how a husband and wife should be and how the relation should be. And each step has a meaning, with the 7 lives and all that. But that's how it is. And my perspective or my take on that is, should be able to cook. And as I said, my wife is a from a different background, and she has uh, learned Indian food, how to cook Indian food, and she's you know cooking good, and she knows like I like Indian food, and she, like you said, like man's way to man's heart is like feed him well, like through the belly, right? So so that, and take care of the house, take care of the baby, and take care of me. So that's pretty much, like very basic. Men are like simple creatures, just the simple things, nothing fancy, nothing. I want this, I want that. It's just keep it really simple. That's the uh, you know uh, standard expectations, I would say.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so to go back, Barack, you had made a point when you were talking about just like balancing the time that you have, DJ live 9 to 5, and then like also just other things that you do. And you had said something about like just your upbringing, and like how, like, if you didn't get anything, if you weren't understanding something, your dad would, like, whoop you, or until you got it, things like that, which I'm pretty sure, like, in like African culture, that's even not even just being a man, but just in the African culture, that's just because we all been through it. So I understand that. But I was having a conversation that made me think. I was having a conversation with somebody at work, and they were talking about how, like, the upbringing of like kids now is very much like, I don't know. It was there were some people that were on the fence of like, okay, y'all are too hard, and then there was some people on the fence of like, these kids don't need to be soft. So how do you feel about that? And like, what's your parenting? I guess you've already kind of explained what your parenting skill is, where you're like, okay, you'll whoop your kid if need be. But like, how do you feel when people say, oh, I think you're being too hard, or a kid or a little boy needs love. Let's take boys in this instance for like example, or a little boy needs love and he doesn't need all this, hard or tough love and stuff like that. What do you guys think about that when you hear that? Do you agree? Is it what do they call it? Gentle parenting, or are we still on the traditional African mentality of upbringing?
Oh no, I'm African to the core. I'm sorry. If I swear, if you don't control your kids will control you. Point blank. Like if you don't, what I mean by that is the way we grew up, and I'm so grateful. I'm not gonna lie to you. I came to this country when I was what, 12 years old from Cameroon, and I can remember every whooping. And it wasn't that it was an abuse. I'll be honest, because there's abuse and then there's whooping for discipline. The abuse I don't like. Nope, I don't agree. Because I have seen parents back home or no friends that were literally abused. Literally, they whooped them like they did not own them, or they were not their parents. So I don't tolerate. No, I don't condone whooping to try to kill the child. No, 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 no. I don't condone that. However, I think being disciplined enough to whoop your kids, it's more of I will whoop you and give you something like a lollipop, right? I'll pamper you after. So don't just whoop without a meaning why you're whooping them. You have to explain you did so and so wrong. Don't do it again. But I think that part of the whooping, it's a reminder that even if the parent is not there, it should be in the back of your head. Like if you're doing something wrong, my dad or my mom does not approve. That goes a long way. And I think that's what has humbled me to this day, being it my 9 to 5, being it DJing or my just day to day, being it a good person as a whole. That really humbles me down and it grounds me and it makes me sane. Because I think kids today are spoiled. Point blank period, they're spoiled. And you're right, we should be able to work with them and not work against them. Because really times have really changed, right? The way our parents brought us up is not in the same time frame where these kids are growing. The technology, the way of life. Like it's not community oriented where I grew up, where it's a community that raises that child. I was raised by a community where here it's almost like an isolation raises kids, where you have to like force your kids to be part of that community for your kids to be raised in that community space. And I think being a DJ, I've seen inside out, right? Where good families, good kids are raised from good backgrounds. And I think charity really begins at home. That's the best way I can put it. I don't know if I answered your question though.
I do have a follow-up question to that.
Yeah.
And maybe you might explain and I'll understand better, but what is the difference between the discipline and the abuse? Because you said that the discipline piece means that you know why you're being whooped. I got beat for things that made no sense. They told me why, but in my understanding, that's abuse. The
Mhm.
reason does not make sense.
I
So
agree.
how do you differentiate that? Just because you tell someone a reason does not make it valid. And just because you give me a lollipop at the end of that does not make it not abuse.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate as a father? What's that different? What's that line like for you? And every other father can answer that too.
Yeah, I can definitely start. I think I can relate with that though, because there were times when my dad did whoop me without me understanding why he did it. And there were times when I felt like I was angry at him at some point. I hated him, for the discipline that he was instilling in me. But I think with time, as I got older, right, as I got mature enough to understand, you know, I had a clarity of why that happened. However, discipline in a sense where you don't have they don't have to have bruises on them. Number one, once a parent start beating their kids where they start having bruises, I think that's abuse. Seriously, I think let's start from there. Where if that discipline gets to a level where you have to slap them and you can see the lines on their faces or you can see marks on them, that is abuse. So I think I'll draw that line.
So if you have a bukala that you pinch,
Yeah, that one is different because some kids are really sensitive because they're probably softer. Some kids can easily get bruised. So yeah, I think parents need to know their kids number one, because some kids, even whooping them does not really help. I'll be honest with you. Some kids, even whooping them really doesn't help, but I think there should be some level of discipline, right? I think that was where my point was. The whooping worked for me. It might not work for every kid, but I think there should be a level of discipline. Some discipline might be spanking here and there, but if you don't discipline them at all, and there are instances where you have to slap, you have to whoop them. Those timeouts do not work. I'm sorry. Putting your kid in the corner for 10, 15 minutes, trust me, they get used to it. It doesn't work. No. Sometimes you have to be angry and just sting them a little bit. What that does, it instills a little bit of fear that, what I did was wrong. It gets your brain working. However, you're right. It's really hard to really distinguish, right, what that borderline is, where the kid does not feel like you hate me or you're abusing me. But I think
you're trying to
it
sound
boils down.
politically correct, Barack. Hold on, time
Yeah,
out.
no, it boils down to the parents knowing your kids, right? Because some kids might be disabled too. That's another point. So we have to be careful because there are kids that might be. So disability is not necessarily that they're slow upstairs. It might be that the way they process stuff is different from others. But yeah, the average child, just like me, grow up normal. Whoop us. We need it, and I will whoop them. I will.
So T, we were asking a question. Was it from a man perspective or from a woman perspective?
From a child perspective,
Because a male child would test your gangster. Even a woman child too, they'll test your gangster. You know what I mean? Like they'll test you and see what you can do or not do. So help me here understand. Like for example, you said you did not understand why. Give us one thing that you know for verbatim that you got whooped that you think you didn't deserve it. And then we'll go from there, please.
I remember in primary school, if I was not first in my class, I got a whooping from my dad.
I mean,
Oh wow.
first
Yeah.
though,
That makes no sense.
That
No,
makes
that's
no
extreme.
I'm
sense.
sorry.
That's
Yeah, that's
abuse.
extreme.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I got
really
a punishment if I
Yeah.
knew, and I was always top 3.
Yeah. No.
I would get a whoop. I already knew. I was just ready. I'll write an apology letter and I will get punishment for not being first in my class. And even if I did come first, why were you at 85 for math?
Oh no.
So those are the kind of things I'm saying. I guess what I'm saying is sometimes it's good, but it's like just like as much as knowing your kid is right. And I wanted him to explain that for him for because that was not clear to me. Each parenting is different, right? But I guess as much as knowing your kid, I was just trying to understand from his perspective, like, okay, how do you as a parent decipher if this is a line I'm crossing beyond discipline into abuse? Do you know that line? I guess is my question. Because I don't think that dumbhead knew that line. So he crossed it so many times. But then you will look at it as discipline. Or you want your daughter to be, tough, or you want your son to. But it's like, okay, do you really know why you're punishing, why you're trying to discipline this child for real? You might know your kid. It might not even be a whooping. But why is this child always on punishment? And so that's why I was trying to understand his mindset when he said that they can beat you and give you a lollipop. That really doesn't change much for me. So I just wanted to clarify that.
But would you accept the candy though?
Fuck no. But I'll take it because I'm afraid if I don't take it, I'm gonna get another whooping. Because they'll say that you're being disrespectful.
Yes.
No, that's crazy. No, that's crazy. Yeah, that one is crazy. Yeah, that one is an abuse. That one is abuse.
Yeah, straight up.
What they did, they'll beat you and tell you to get dressed to take you out.
I feel like that was that. Like they don't apologize. So that's their form of apology, as in, instead of me saying I'm sorry, take this lollipop, or let's go out and let's go get something to eat. Like, nah,
No, it doesn't work.
But
no.
But let me ask this though, right? Mm-hmm. When we try to rationalize this, right? Are we taking into consideration that one was done in a less developed place versus now where we're in a much developed, environment, or in a less controlled environment versus in a controlled environment?
That's a good point. Well, I feel like, like they say, if you know better, you do better, right?
Absolutely.
So our parents were basically just passing down what they also were given. Because I know my dad said his dad whooped him like crazy. And so that was all he knew, right? So from the limited knowledge that he had, he also felt like, hey, this is the best parenting he could give us by whooping us the way he whooped us. And nothing was out of bounds. It could be a hanger that he would turn into, a whip, or the FR that they call it FR, what used to turn gari and fufu, right? That stick. Yeah, man, that man beat me with that thing one day. I thought I was going to die. And it was such a way where he was hitting on the same spot. Like he knew exactly that same place on my butt where he said, don't touch. If I put my hand, bam! And then, that same line. I cried that day and why? Because we played soccer and he had told us not to play. And the funny thing was, like Terence was saying, I was always top 3. In fact, for the most part, I was number 1, So it's okay if I can play. Like, what the heck? And because that day he told us not to play, you know how it is. Immediately he left the house, we started playing, he forgot something. And so he came back and entered the house, whooping, So I feel like for the most part, hey, they're just handing down what they also received. But we now, with the knowledge we have, also understanding things like mental health and, how that affects kids. Because in our scenario where we're told to deal with it, they never apologized. I remember the first time my wife told my mom, when my mom visited from Cameroon, my wife told my mom, love you, Mom. My mom did not know how to respond. I just sat there bursting like on the side. Because they're not used to that, right? And so my wife was like, but why don't you tell your mom you love her? I was like, because that's not how we grew up. Since they say it on their end, like love you, even siblings we didn't grow up like that. So even me to say that, it was like my mom would feel a type of way, and I'm sure my mom would be looking at me like, is it crazy? Or my dad, the same thing. So again, it's based on upbringing. What you received is what you give. I tell my sons I love you because I now know differently. And so again, and like Barack was saying, each child is different. So my first son, like Barack's, was born during the COVID years. And there is something, we're not going to go into this, but there is something that happened in those COVID years and the impact of which we'll probably be learning maybe many years from now. But I'm noticing that a lot of kids that were born in those COVID years, because they were isolated, they grew up only with their parents at home, they are catching on, a little bit slower compared to their siblings. Like the second is 18 months. He's already doing a lot at 18 months than my son, who is 4 years old. And we took my son for a diagnosis and they said he was neurodivergent. So I'm not going to raise him the same way I'm raising the second, because I know that there are a lot of things, that context awareness, being aware of his environment, there are a lot of things that he doesn't know about, and so I have to be cognizant of that. On the other hand, his younger brother, who is 18 months, he knows exactly what he's doing. Like, I'll see him, he'll hit his older brother on the head, and then when I turn around, I say, Jesse, stop that. He'll look at me in the eyes, 18 months old, he'll look at me at my eyes, and then he'll just wait with his hand like this, and immediately I turn, he'll do the same thing again. This is an 18-month-old child. So in that case, from time to time, I'll smack him. Like, don't do that. Like, be very careful, don't do that, I'm going to whoop you. And some cases, like, give him a little bit of something so they can cry a little bit. Cry. And my mom used to say that, hey, it's not blood that is coming out of your eyes, it's water. So if you cry, yeah, that's fine. And he'll cry, and then I'll, hug him. Like, it's okay, don't cry, but don't do that again. So I strongly believe that we need to have that aspect of discipline. Discipline is important, because spare the rod and spoil the child. The Bible even says that foolishness is bound up in a child, but some correction will clear it up. That's what it says in Proverbs. So I didn't make it up. And so I believe that you need to know each child, and by virtue of you knowing each child, then tailor the discipline, because it's important to make sure that they are being raised in the right way. So I feel like, yep, our parents didn't know as much as we know. So now that we know a lot more, we need to do better, and we expect them to do better than we did with all the knowledge that they also have. So that's how I see it.
Did you have sex more than your dad?
Huh?
No, I was asking Terence, like, do you think you were more smarter than your dad in his time? Like you at the time you were to him at his time?
I don't think so. He was a pretty smart one. He was a pretty smart man.
So he was trying to
American
to you. Yeah.
He had his own issues.
Yep.
But
So,
before we move on from this, I wanted to hear Viresh on his perspective on this. I know both Tabot and Barack are from the African background. How is it like growing up Indian? Like, did you guys have a culture of discipline / borderline abuse? And I know your daughter is only, you said, 15 months old, but how do you plan? How does discipline look like in your plan to raise her?
It was very harsh growing up. Like the discipline was too much, because it's more or less how the African culture is in terms of patriarchy, raising kids, moral values, and stuff like that. So me personally, like when I was growing up, like I got a lot of whipping from my uncle more than my dad. But I never for once thought that as an abuse or anything, like even when I grew up. So in fact, it worked on me, So it made me study well and get good grades in school and stuff like that. And I never felt like it was an abuse or anything. I was scared for some time, maybe like when I was getting all those beatings. But if I look back now, it really helped me, grow as a person, like imbibe discipline in my life and all that stuff. But every kid is different. Every child is different. Like they like different things to eat. I mean, different foods they eat. It's something like that, Some kids they don't need beatings, you don't need beatings. They just pick up things faster, and you don't need to discipline them at all, So, and some kids need some more help, they more discipline. It's just like any adult, in terms of, for example, you take any athlete, some people have like extra energy and you don't need to train them much, and some needs more training. So it's the same way with the kids' mind too, uh, uh, like yeah, like I said, like you said, like there is a thin line between discipline and abuse, and the hierarchy, like whatever we know now. So maybe our kids in the future, they might think, okay, so my dad or my parents were not, they were more harsher. The things might be different, like 20 years down the line, they might be sitting like us and talking, like so my dad, they did this, and we do whatever we know is good for the kids, uh, because we think it is the best. And maybe when they grow older, they might not think the same, but that doesn't mean I am wrong or they are right. It's just a different perspective, like from where you see that, right? So whatever my dad did, I did not get much of a whipping from my dad. Like I said, I got it more from my uncle. But also my dad, we never expressed love like the way people say here, I love you and all that. So, and I never knew there is a day like Father's Day existed, like few years till recently, like maybe like 10 years, 15 years ago. So I came to know about this, but before that, I did not know there was a day like Father's Day, or like there's a day like Mother's Day. And my mom, even now, she doesn't. My dad passed away a few years ago, but we never said I love you, but we still loved each other. Uh, it need not to be said like exclusively. We just knew it. And even the same, it's the same with my mom too. We never say I love you, I miss you, or anything like that. We just know. We just know. I mean, it's hard to describe or explain. That's how it is for most kids of my generation. So they don't say I love you. You know, even the wives or like husbands of my generation, they don't say much like I love you to each other. They just know. You know, it's the same with the kids. So my dad never said, my mom never said, and now I'm here. So now I know how the world is, and I will say that. And my kid knows, like maybe the things would be different, like maybe 20 years down the line. I don't know. But yeah, like it all perspectives and knowing things like in which environment you grow up and all that stuff.
I want to take the conversation to a different direction. We all know that the the privilege of marriage and family comes with a man, right? It's just what it is. As a woman, you can be as ready as you want to, but if that man doesn't step up, it ain't happening, right? And what I'd like to understand, and I know that all you three fellas have mentioned that you had your standards that you were checking in the person you were dating at that time to, like, if they're going to be the lifelong partner that you need. How do you know that you're ready? That person checks the box, but what is your thought process like for that, to be ready for that responsibility of a family and children and being the man of your own house?
Virish, do you want to start this time?
How you throw Virish under the bus like that?
You're on mute, by the way.
Sure, I don't mind starting. That's fine. How do you know? I think for me, it was when I stopped talking to multiple women at the same time. Like when I met my wife, right? I had probably 3 or 4 women I was talking to, and I think she asked me the question multiple times, like, "What are we? Number one, right?" And that clicked in my head, like, I need to be serious. Then the second part was it was something I decided that I wanted a family, I wanted a better life for myself, and not just running around. And I think it was a conscious decision, right? That I knew she had basically all the little things that I deemed a woman, right? That I would see as a wife or a potential wife would be to raise my kids, to take care of me even when I'm old, or even, because he's not getting married just to me, to my, family, friends, she has to meet everyone. And she checked that box, and I sat one night and asked myself, what's the point of having everybody else if this person is in my head close to that human being that I want to spend the rest of my life with? So I literally turned all the other females away and focused on one. That's how I knew from that moment. That's really what drew me to that direction, to saying, hey, this is who I want to spend my life with, or this is who I want to raise my kids, or be the mother of my child.
Yeah, for me, I've always been a long-term, relationship kind of guy. My first girlfriend, we dated for 5 years. The second, we dated for 3 years. And I thought that was going to be the one because I was always very intentional about how I approached relationships. And so for the second one, I thought that was going to be the one, really invested a lot into it. And then only only for me, because I was based in Nigeria then and she was in the States. And so she just woke up and ghosted me for about 4 months straight. Didn't hear from her. I'm like, what is going on? She's in med school, so the excuse was that, hey, med school, we're busy. She was in one of these islands, attending med school. And also, I was like, okay, maybe it's med school, but is this how busy these people are? Like, I don't understand. So I reached out to a couple of people who knew her. They were like, we see her here in ATL now. She's been attending some these things with us. I was like, okay. ATL. She was in Atlanta. So I'm there converting Naira and sending dollars. And that time the exchange rate was no joke. You can imagine converting from Naira to dollar, how that was. So I'm just sending money. I didn't know this girl was there enjoying with her ex-boyfriend. No kidding. And so 4 months later, finally she gets back to me. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have put you through this. And she was crying on the phone that you're a very good guy. I don't know why I acted this way. There's something I want to tell you. I'm like, okay, what is it? And she said, I'm sorry to say that I hooked up with my ex-boyfriend and he's the person I've been with this whole time and la 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 la. Hey, my heart almost fell out. I'm telling you, my heart almost came out like that and fell on the ground. But hey, I had to, soak it up. It is what it is. And I had to move on. And then when I moved to the States, so this happened like end of 2015, December. And then I got my visa to come here May of 2016. Guess who wanted to come back? Of course. I said, nah, fam, it's not going to work. Because by this time, I'd already met my now wife and we've been talking. And so again, long story short, like I've always been intentional. Like, I had long-term relationships and I invested, made sure that, hey, we're building on a solid foundation. And so when I met my wife, and like I mentioned to you all, I was looking out for a number of things and she checked those boxes and we did it for about 3 months. And I felt like, yep, this is the person I want to do life with. And that was when I introduced her to my parents and the rest is history. So yeah, for me was always making sure that I was very intentional about relationships.
You introduced her to your parents after 3 months.
And the reason is because for the other ones, I was always like quick to introduce and then it doesn't work out. So I was now a little bit scared. I didn't want to bring this person again and say, hey, this is the person, and then things don't work out,
So you're saying 3 months was longer or shorter?
It was longer because for the other ones from the jump, I'll introduce them to my parents.
Okay.
What's from the jump? Like 2 weeks in dating or what?
2 weeks in dating. Yeah, 2 weeks in. I'm like, hey, this is the yeah.
Yeah, it was mad intentional.
Right. So I was like, you know what? Let me give you some time. And actually, it was my uncle who advised me that, hey, Tabot, I think you may want to take some time on this one before telling your parents about it. And that's why I said, okay, let's see how it goes in 3 months before I let them know that, yeah, this is the person I've been talking to. So, yep.
Suresh, how long did it take you to bring your wife to your parents?
Let me see. It was maybe a little more than a year, maybe 14 months, I would say. I think 14 months.
Tigo, sorry. Okay.
Barack, I saw Barack raising his hand. Barack is probably like 5 years.
Barack is 5 years.
No, I'm joking. Okay.
No, he's not kidding. It was a while.
Oh, you see? Okay.
Yes. My mom kept asking, like, what's wrong with him? Yeah, like we don't see nobody with him. We don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Honestly, right? I think she was. I don't know. I don't even know if I even introduced her to my mom. Honestly,
Really?
it just happened. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think before you take anybody to your parents, I swear to you, it better be a wife.
Yeah, but yeah.
At this point, you're gonna have to marry me at the courthouse before I even go to my parents. You my man. That's what it's given. That's really what it's in this day and age. Yeah.
In this day and age,
you're gonna have to
yes.
be my husband before I even be like, oh, this is my boyfriend. Yeah, nah.
I agree. Yes.
Let's bring it back to the men, right? 3 months. So let me come back to you again. Let me come back to you. This. So, what does it take for you as a man, right, growing up to be able to? Okay, what did your dad instill in you for you to be able to wake up and say, no, it's 2 weeks, I'll bring a woman to my parents, or it's 3 months? Like, please tell us, what is it that growing up, right? Like, what do your parents or your dad teach you to be a man? Like, yeah, if that's my question.
Yeah, and that's a very good one. So for me, I'll say that my parents have been married for 41 years now, right? And I really enjoyed their relationship. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really admire both of them together. Even up to today, when they take pictures together, I'm like, oh, look at my mom and dad. You know, growing old together and enjoying their kids now because we're all big. The last is 33 now. So I have 2 older siblings. I'm the middle child, and then 2 younger siblings. The last being 33. So seeing them when they got married in their teenage years, and with regards to what you're saying in terms of what my dad instilled in us, I remember my dad always bragged about the fact that he got married in his teenage years. And so by 22, 23, I was already feeling some type of pressure, you know, like, hey. And so it's a weird thing. I think I've mentioned this in a number of other podcasts that growing up, I always felt like I was competing with my dad because I like to compete in sports, in education. Like, I remember when there was this girl in primary school, she was always taking first, I was taking second. That thing bothered me. And this was me, like, in primary school. I was like, I need to beat this girl. You know, so I'll read harder. She'll still beat me. Take first, I'll be second. I kept on pushing until I think it was like class 5, class 6. That was when I eventually beat her. And I was so excited, you know. So I've always been that kind of, I'm somebody who competes on every level. Like business, I compete. I love competing. And I'm not a sore loser. I don't mind losing. But then, you know, like I love the sport, the fact that, yes, we go at this thing. Even when I'm playing video games, same thing. You need to see my friends and I when we're playing PS here. It's crazy, you know. So that's just me. That's how I am. And so I remember from the time my dad started saying things like, yeah, I got married when I was, you know, in my teenage years. You guys are already in your 20s. What's happening? So, and I was like thinking, I'm losing time. I need to beat this guy, you know, I need to. Same thing when, if we got opportunities, we'll be like, well, they gave you because your dad is provincial delegate, you know. I hated things like that. So I'll never introduce myself when I'll go to apply for jobs or anything, I'll not use the family name. I'll try to use just my first name because I wanted to make sure that I got that opportunity without him being in the shadows. Like, people not saying that, hey, oh yeah, your dad is so and so, that kind of thing. So I always went through life in those early years, like really trying to do things to prove a point. I was really trying to prove a point to him. But then as I grew later in life, I realized that, but what point are you proving? Like, I was just beating myself up for nothing because he had lived his life and I was the one here. Okay, like Gamba said too, it was the same thing where GC advanced levels, right? I was top student in my school. And it was like he looked at my grades and said, so you could not have all A's? Things like that, and it rubbed me the wrong way because I came home really excited. We're celebrating, best graduating student. And he was like, looked at the GC results and I was like, so you could not have all A's. And it really dampened my spirit. I broke my spirit real bad. So I was always like really trying to compete and all. So I think maybe that drive to settle down came from me again trying to compete with him and seeing how I can, okay, because he did this, because he accomplished this, I wanted to accomplish that. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do more than he did. And so I think that influenced how I was seeing life and approaching things. But then I realized later on that, hey, it's a lose-lose game, like, what are you doing? Just live your life, be yourself, because you end up making more mistakes because you have this thing you've painted in your head and you're trying to meet this image or something. So I think that was what influenced me making those decisions of trying to bring the girl 2 weeks in and so on and so forth.
I was going to just ask Viresh, because I feel as though, and you guys correct me, but is there a man here who did not compete with their dad some way, shape, or form? Like try to be better, in some way, shape, or form? And if so, please tell us how not.
I tried to compete with my dad too. He was athletic, and I tried to compete with him in every sense. Like we used to play all this, we call it like domestic games, like where you play the top, the top, right? Like where you spin the top. So he was very, very good at that. So that was my first memory, like where I tried to compete with him, and also growing up, picking up his knowledge, picking up his brains in terms of business. So he was a businessman. So I tried to compete with him in every sense, So I can't like pinpoint in terms of education because he did not he graduated only high school. I would say he was a dropout of high school. So in terms of that, I did not. So I was looking up to my uncle. So he was the one who was educated in my family. But other stuff I always tried to compete with my dad. And my uncle was like my second dad, So he was always there, and I always looked up to him for that. So I got to compete with both my dad and uncle. So,
and it's interesting to hear this, it's interesting to actually hear this because in my view, I always felt like, hey, maybe that was sort of an outlier in doing that. Mm-hmm. But hearing that, hey, other men actually felt the same way and did the same thing, it's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So it is all because that's like your dad and your mom or your world, you always look up to them and you're always around there. Like you don't know much of the outside world. So you tend to like that. That's very natural, Don't even have to put any effort to consciously, make, do that thing. That I feel it just comes naturally.
T, before you ask your question, and I want to ask you a question too, T, because you guys were saying something. I know you have but while you guys are speaking on this, you guys are talking about like in competition with your fathers. Why is that though? Like I don't know. I'm just kind of I mean, yeah, Rocky can answer, but T, my question for you, us being women, And I heard a lot from my mom, like, oh, I was married to your dad at such a young age, and I had your sister was born first at this time, like this age. So I get it. I feel like it's more pressure, but I don't feel it's competition. Like, I feel like, okay, you're constantly on my back, like, you need to hurry up, sis, you need to hurry up and get married and have a baby and stuff. But I don't feel more so competition. I don't know, T, do you feel like that? Do you feel like it's competition, or at this point, I'm just like, sis, whenever it happens, it happens. That's just how it's gonna be, for real. Because I'm not competing with you. If it happens, then yeah, I don't know. But T, do you feel like that? Like it's competition or just pleasure?
I would say, to me, it's no, because that's not something my mom has ever said to me. I hear it from other friends, and not one day has my mom ever asked me. I am single, no children. Not it has not even come as a side comment. Not one day. And until I was like, okay, do you not want grandkids? I was asking her, like, do you not, like, you've never asked? Because
Are
I
you the
get
only
the
child?
pressure. No, there's four of us.
All right, that's why.
Yeah, no, she doesn't. That's not something my mom does for us. To her, she said that she had her kids young. By 32, my mom had all four of us. We are all grown, like really grown. My younger sister is 33. So she said she had her kids young and she didn't get to do a lot of things for herself based on bunch of things. But my point is to say that to her main focus is the life that we lead. So she has never pressured us on children, on marriage, nothing. It's like, are you happy? Are you getting the things you want out of life? So that's not something I can relate.
I do have a follow-up question to that though, because this is actually a heated conversations that we've had in my family, friends, and one of the biggest conversation is, should men instill in their daughters to get married early? Reason being, technically women have a clock, men don't. So is that something that you men are looking at, or is it something that you don't discuss, or you don't care? It's whatever makes your daughter happy.
That's a good one. Looking at so I have a situation that is very near and dear to my heart, right? And that is my older sister. And I know how it was for her before she got married. Again, was that pressure at the age of 24, hey, the clock, and so you need to go ahead and do this thing quickly. And there was a lot of pressure around it. And she ended up doing it. And I can tell you that things didn't work out well. And my parents actually live in regret for a long time. They blamed themselves, that they were the reasons why that happened. And to the point where I think my mom, like had high blood pressure over it when she saw her daughter going through the situation, and thinking back to the fact that they were the ones who pushed her into this situation. And looking back now, they wish they could turn back the hands of time. And unfortunately, they can't. And my older sister has told them, hey, you guys, don't blame yourselves anymore. I've forgiven you. You just need to forgive yourselves and move on. So I, as a parent now, seeing that situation, I'm not going to pressure my daughter to do that. Whatever works for her, that's it. Yeah.
Even if she wants 10 kids?
Like, yeah, because if she wants to get married and have 10 kids, yeah, whatever she decides. I remember my uncle, when he heard that my mom's younger brother heard that his sister was giving birth to her fifth child. And he was like, why is his sister giving birth like somebody who did not go to school, like an illiterate woman? Can you imagine? So my mom was like, wait, I don't understand. How is that your business? Like you should be focusing on running your own home. And by this time, he was not married or anything. He ended up having three kids. But then you can imagine he was putting his mouth in something that was really not his business. So for me, I believe that, hey, if somebody decides that they want to have 10 kids, if you have the strength to have 10 kids and you have the financial wherewithal to deal with it, oh yeah, now carry on and do what you want to do. It's your life. My granddad had what, 17 kids, you know,
Then
it worked
why?
out for four wives and 17 kids, worked out for him in how it worked out for him. My mom came and decided to have five. I have decided to have three. So each person carries their cross. So however you feel like you can manage it, good for you. So if she
But,
says she wants to have 10, hey, madam, proceed.
but there's reality too as well, though. So we cannot be naive about that and just say have 10 kids. Let's be real.
No, but the thing is, if she and her husband can provide for 10 kids, why am I putting a constraint on them now as a
And
parent?
even if they cannot,
Yeah, and even if they
it's
cannot.
still not your business.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
not my business.
It's my
So,
business.
so my question then, how are you gonna go and influence her in her marital home?
No, it's I don't think it's a matter of influencing, right? I think this
Uh-huh.
it stems from the point of parents guiding their kids, right? Okay. The follow-up question is, are you going to help your daughter, right,
Mm-hmm.
find a good man or find somebody close to you?
Somebody close to me, how is that?
Find someone suitable for her.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to be in that process, or you just gonna put hands up and just let her do it?
Oh no, I'll definitely guide, right? I'll definitely guide, give my own opinions on things. Definitely say, hey, if there's certain things that you see in a young man and say this guy is probably not right for you, I will have a say in that. Make sure that at least I'm guiding her. This is what it is, but I'm not going to at the end of the day choose for her. I'm not going to choose for her because at the end of the day, she has that freedom of choice to make her own choice and deal with the consequences of whatever comes with it. Because again, going back to my older sister, she had somebody who she was going to get married to. But my parents were like, no, because of the tribe, because you guys are in the same age bracket, it's not going to work. Somebody who is, say, because of your personality, somebody who is 10 to 15 years older than you will be better because you would respect him. But if you got married to somebody who maybe was 1 to 2 years older than you, you'd probably bully him. These were all things that they were seeing based on their own perspective. Guess what? She got married to the guy who was 15 years older than her. Didn't work out. So again, that's the reason why I'll be very careful about trying to say this is and that, because again, at the end of the day, I don't know. Like I don't really know. So I can only guide and counsel, but at the end of the day, I want her to make that decision. Like let them make their decisions and deal with the consequences of their actions, if for good or for bad. But at least they know that I made this decision myself, as opposed to now saying, but you are the one who made the decision for me. That's how I see it.
Speaking about guiding children, right? I know, and this is speaking about before somebody comes for me. This is speaking about like people in our age group, right? I'm assuming 40, 45 and above. We were raised as a woman, right? For the most part, a lot of us were not raised as to be independent. We were raised to get primed, to get picked, right? But now, growing older, a lot of us are choosing to be independent, right? Are choosing to pave our own way and choosing that. But for the men, it was not a choice. You were raised and instilled that it was the law. How does that translate to you being your own man now? Do you feel that pressure to always perform, to always be independent, to be on your game? How does that look like for you? Does it translate into asking for help? How's that independence going for you?
Wish.
Don't all go at once.
No, that's why I want
Yeah,
Wish to go.
Yeah, so as a man, it's definitely there will be a little bit of pressure to always to be independent, not ask for help and all that. Like in terms of it's different for women and for men. That's how I feel. personally, like I feel, I don't feel like asking help. I try to manage myself. That's how I've been brought up, and I I, uh, I don't seek help. So it's very hard for me to get into that sphere and ask for someone's help, uh, because I was always told that I have two older sisters, so I was made to always help my sister. So and I, as a man, uh, how to do that. That's an obligation. So that was not an option to always help my sisters around, even with their marriage, even with their education and all that. Even I helped with my even I helped with my nieces with their education and their marriage. So that's the expectation. And Doing all this, if I need any help, I I I never seek any help. Like it's just you can call it as a man thing. I don't know how to explain that. It's just there, and I don't feel like asking it. And that's how my dad was too. And he never took any help from his dad and his sisters, or like his family basically. He always there being independent, and I always looked up to him for that. So probably it's just a thing for a man, I guess.
Yeah, I think for the most part, most men are that way. There's this sense of nobody's coming to save you.
Amen.
Yeah, you realize very quickly that you are on your own.
Yeah.
And so if it has to be, it's up to you. And that was the mindset I had growing up. I moved to Nigeria when I was 21, and I'm in a new country by myself, studying there. And I knew that, hey, if anything had to happen in this country, I'm not getting money being sent to me from Cameroon. No, I have to figure out ways, in which I have to do things here. And so I think that helped me to become very independent very early. So I started a web development company since my background was in computer science, started building websites for people, and then helped a number of people build websites, got paid from it. Then somebody introduced me to their church. And then I ended up building the website for their church. And then they started paying me to, not after building it, to manage the website. So I was getting a monthly check for managing that. So I just, became very industrious, and I was doing things for myself and sending money back home, to my parents, like Virish was saying, because we all know, like they say, the black tax. It's still, even now that we're here, there are cousins back home who are depending on us. We have to send money. Parents, we have to send, and so on and so forth. It never goes away.
The same.
Yeah, exactly. It never goes away. And
Yeah.
if you're down, you have to figure out yourself. Oh, nobody's coming for you here. Nobody is coming to sort you out. So you just have that mindset, and that's how I've grew up, and that's how I think now. That if anything has to happen, it's up to me. I have to go figure out how to get myself sorted out. So, yeah, maybe
That
that's the reason why.
sounds,
Maybe that's the reason why men die early.
yeah, I was gonna say that sounds very, um, ooh, it sounds like that burden Jesus says to lay down in the Bible.
Right.
Like your yoke. But like, how do y'all, at some point, you're going to break down. And I want to believe that throughout your life, there's probably been a point where you have broken. Like, do you guys not have help? Where do you go? Because I'm like, this is don't take you wrong. This is sad that you support, you do all these things, but then you don't have where to go for your own. Like, do y'all have help at all? Do you have a village?
I can answer that question. I swear to you guys, this topic is so important.
It is.
I'll tell you why. It's scary how all three of us, right, without knowing it, right, are saying the exact same.
Yes.
Without, it's like in sync.
Yeah.
It's telling us that, guess what? automatically he's supposed to be responsible for his elder sisters. Keyword, elder sisters, they're older than him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's automatic. Nobody tells you. You just inherently know it. I think society has a way of doing it.
Yep.
But one, the society that we grew up in, I'll be honest with you guys, right? Actually, my wife asked me for money a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her a question. I was like, okay, you're asking me for money, right? You keep asking me for money, and I keep giving you the money. I asked her, who do I go to ask for money? Guess what she told me? She said, God. You know what I told her? I was like, okay, could you go ask for God for that money?
You're lying, right?
I'm dead.
I'm sorry.
I'm dead. So it's an inherited pressure. That's the only way I can tell you. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's inherited. We take it and run with it and don't ask questions.
Yeah.
At my age, I'll be honest, I think David alluded to this, right? Barely in my close to late 30s, right? And I was given a responsibility to be my dad passed away in 2009, right? And I was very young. And the African culture, in the Cameroon culture, right? I'm supposed to inherit his burdens. I look at it as inherited debt, right? So I'm literally supposed to inherit his curse. The curse meaning that whatever he was responsible for, I'm supposed to inherit it and take that baton and run with it. Meaning that, he was responsible for the family, right? He was the head of the house. And that family was huge. It wasn't just his immediate, family. It was his siblings. His sister died and left kids, and the kids have grandkids, and he was paying for their fees while taking care of us. I did not understand this until basically I inherited that responsibility, meaning that at my young age, I would sit and 50-year-old grown men in Africa will ask me for money. Like it was like a burden that was handed to me without me knowing it. And I'm telling you to this day, guys, I do send money on a monthly basis. Sometimes I don't question why. I get angry, frustrated why they're asking me for money. But deep down, I send. I'm talking about people that I don't know. And I'm telling you today, like I get voice messages from cousins, people that I've never met, telling me to help them out. Telling me to send them, they got married because so and so passed away. So it's an inherited burden that you don't ask. You just take it. You take it and run with it. And who do we go to? Honestly, I would say God.
Yeah. True.
Man, forget that thing. God is not here on
No. What I mean by God, right? It's more of the strength, right? To give you that blessing, right? To keep working hard and keep providing. It's not like God is going to come save you.
Right.
But it's just the wisdom and the faith and not relying on anybody, but, your intelligence, your family. For me, who I go to is music, my therapy. That's why I DJ. It's not like I've tried to quit so many times, but it's I'm telling you guys, it's crazy, but it's almost like it's embedded in you as a man, right? To figure it out. That's I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me bring it full circle this way.
Mm-hmm.
How can we, and I'm speaking as a woman who has men in her life as well, right? How can we as women create room where you guys, now I can't solve all your problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how can we make room for you guys to get help, to get the much needed support? You can't run to music every time. Music cannot talk back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Music cannot give you a loan.
Yeah.
All of that is good and well, but how do we make space for you guys to be supportive?
I think another question to add to that, T, is if the help was provided, would y'all take?
That's a good one. I like that. I think everything starts with having this conversation, right? Like we're talking. Because I think us men, we die in silence.
Yeah.
Bluntly speaking, like we literally die not expressing ourselves. And I think that's where our downfall is. We don't, I don't think, I think we, it's not that we don't want to communicate, it's just we don't know how to. Where you don't look weak, you don't look like, a failure, you don't look like, because society has literally put on a pressure, put on a cap on our head as provider. You don't ask questions, you just provide. You figure it out, you make it work. So it's an automatic switch that comes on, right? That you just, even if they give you help, right? You're not used to it. It's almost like the I love you when you did not grow up with I love you, right? So it's a gradual process where conversations start getting had, talking about it, everybody sharing their experiences like we're doing right now in this platform, and then awareness, right? I think the biggest thing is, do women, are women even aware of the struggles of men? I think that's one thing that I think it's lacking. I will not lie to you, most women do not understand what men go through. And I'll tell you why. I swear to you, if women did understand an ounce of what men go through, some of these standards that they have will be lost. They will lose them. Because if they know what it takes to make a dollar, or even to use that brain to make money, or to figure it out, or to, take you to that next level, or to start a business, or to just keep a house running, for instance, right? I think trying to be in that man's shoes for a day, I don't think women will survive. They'll not make it. One, you guys don't have the strength to do it, like physical strength per se, and the patience. And I think it really, charity really begins at home, right? Talk to your brothers. Understand your brother's everyday struggle. I think that's really where it starts from. As you're asking for help, right? Communicate with your brothers. Ask them. Listen to them without talking. Literally, that's really where it starts. Yep. Just talk to your brother. Ask him, hey, what are you going through? What is so hard in your life? What do you do? I think it starts with that interest in getting to know who they are as human beings, right? First, because we're human beings, number one. And on that level, they will open up. I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Barack just said, fully agree with what he's saying there. By the way, that most women actually don't understand what it takes. Like what it takes for what men go through. I'll give you an example. I remember there was a time when this was still in the early stages when my wife and I were dating, boyfriend, girlfriend, and I was here on an international exchange fellowship. So I was doing well for myself in Nigeria, came here for that program. All they were paying was just a stipend. That stipend could not cover my rent in Alexandria, where I was paying $900 for a room in somebody's house.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I had to go to work in Falls Church, Virginia. And then I had to eat. I was broke. Like as a fellow, you were broke. And I remember there was a day I had to ask her that. Yeah, and first of all, asking somebody for money as a man is a tough thing. It's hard because you're used to providing, you're used to, being the one who is out there going and getting stuff. And so for you to ask somebody for something, it's not an easy thing. I remember that day I had to ask her because it was really bad. I said, can you please send me $100? Hey. She saw it as if I'd asked her for $1,000. Because in her mind, again, she was like, who is this guy that I just started dating and he's asking me for $100? And it made me feel like crap. Up to today, I still give her flag for that thing. Oh, I still bring her up. I mean, not that. I just to disturb her. I was like, look at you. Like, you could have lost an amazing man here because of $100. Because legit, she was like, in her head, she said it got her thinking that, damn, I've never had a guy ask me for money. But that was because I was like in a tight situation. Things were really rough. But it was not a demonstration of I don't know, my potential or what I was going to become or anything. I was just going through a hard time. And so based on the way she reacted, imagine how men will feel if every time he needed help and he reached out and his girl behaved in that manner, how is he going to feel? So, but then, of course, she gave me, and now I've given her more than that in many, like, times 100, times 1,000, and so on. But then the point I'm trying to make is that the question you asked, Tutu, that if that the help is made available, will men take it? I'll say yes, we will take it, because I usually joke that, and it's true, I never met any of my grandparents, the men. I met my grandmothers, both mom and dad. One is still alive. But for the men, they died way before I was even born. Why is that? If you realize, in most cases, you have to see the men don't live long. And I think there's a lot of I've seen social media clips going around now telling men to take care of themselves, really take care of themselves, because for the most part, you're always thinking about the family, the kids, are not really taking care of yourself. And before you know it, all the stress that he's dealing with, like, again, we don't talk about these things. We don't even talk about it to our peers. And so you're carrying all this weight on your shoulders. You're expected to keep on doing more and even more, taking care of your siblings in some cases. I had an aunt who was telling us her husband, right now, his sister's kids are in their house for the summer vacation. And he's now also looking at what he's going to do, because he raised the sisters, put them through school, they got married, they are living their lives, living la vida loca, and they're like, well, our brother is there, the kids can go there. So he's responsible for their kids after being responsible for them. When does it stop? And so the wife was just the one who was venting to us, but then if she doesn't take care of them, she'll be looked at as the bad sister-in-law. They'll see her, oh, you came and you took our brother and blah, 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 all those things. So again, it's a lot of pressure. I remember my younger brother, when I was in Mauritius, living in Mauritius, I was paying his rent in Dubai, $600 a month for him to be there for the first 6 months before he got a job. And it was seen as the expectation. My mom was like, you're just helping your brother now. Right? Yeah, it was seen as, like nothing. And when I would want to, about it, like, oh, don't worry, God will bless you, this is and that, and that's it. But nobody's thinking about my own well-being. And so again, coming back to Teresa's question, I would say what your partner can do is provide that environment of psychological safety. Because in my case, my wife provides that where I can just vent. Like, I'm maybe really pissed about certain things with regards to things like that. I'll just vent to her. And for me, it makes me feel better. Like, it makes me feel like, okay, at least I'm being heard. But I know that nothing is going to change, because I'll still send money to Cameroon for something, because there's always something, one thing or another coming up. You have to send money for this, you have to send money for that. And so I know that, yes, I'll still send it, but at least just the fact that I have a place where I can vent and feel a little bit better, it helps. But then at the end of the day, you really know that you're on your own. To close out my point on this, where I really realized that you are on your own as a man at the end of the day was when I was in Nigeria, after working, sending money back home, taking care of everybody else, I felt sick. They did the test, they said I had hepatitis, and I needed to take 12 injections. Those injections, they said it was going to be expensive if they had to come from the United States. They said they could get them subsidized in India, and it was going to cost about ₦1 million for one of them. Multiply that by 12. I needed 12. My mom just started crying. And she was like, oh, my son is gone.
Take that money.
My son is gone. He's dead. He's gone, By the grace of God, by some miracle, I couldn't rely on prayers. Like Barack was saying, it's only God that we have, right? Some miracle happened and everything got reversed. And the next time they tested me and everything, it wasn't there. God came through for me. But then that situation taught me that, at the end of the day, you're really on your own, because nobody was thinking about, say, selling some land. Let's see how we can raise money to even support him with the injections and all. It was like, well, we don't know what we can do. This may be it for you, And then I realized that, wow, this is it. This is how it really is. So again, like, it's a sad thing. It's a sad situation. What I've now started trying to do is, I now try to also enjoy myself a little bit more, because I realized I was always really taking care of people and not really doing anything for myself. No, now I'm enjoying myself too.
Amen.
Because I didn't come to this life to come and take care of other people, and then at the end of the day you die and they don't move on to the next person, right? So yeah, really at the end of the day, yeah, men are going through it out here.
That's a sad reality.
It is a sad reality.
You die and move on to the next person.
You move on to the next person, yeah.
It was funny because my brother mentioned this to us on, what was it, Mother's Day. We're hanging out in my house, and my brother's a clown. He makes a lot of jokes. He made a statement, and he brought it up to my mother-in-law and my sisters that were at home with me. He said, "Hey, guys, have you guys noticed this? On Mother's Day, there is no space in the store. Men are carrying flowers like fools, just running around the store. But I bet you on Father's Day, man, you don't see no women pressure to go buy no flowers."
And it's true.
Yeah.
It is true.
I'm serious. We've never celebrated Father's Day in my house. I've never heard of it. No. But we get reminded almost every week how important our mom is to us.
Yeah. It's true. Facts.
So it's where there's a bias, right? Where there's unfairness. But I think I blame us men. I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you why. Because we die in silence. We don't speak up. We don't complain. We don't nag. Because I feel like women will look at us like, what kind of weak man are you? You too now. I just, come on now. Why are you bringing this up? Look at this guy right there. He's been doing this all his life. Now you're complaining, So it kind of shuts them down. And I think women make side comments where men don't feel safe even having that conversation. I'll be honest with you. So Tommy had mentioned that environment, right, where it's conducive, it's welcoming. I want to know. I'm interested to find out what you are going through. I want to be part of your day-to-day struggle. And I think most women do not want that. I think most women want the final product. They don't want to work with you through that struggle to bloom. I think that's where some of these problems are coming up. And that's why men are so grounded.
What do you expect from a bunch of people who watch a ton of reality TV?
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
No, but it's real out here, man.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. But I really thank these women. You guys are amazing for these questions.
Yes, honestly, yeah.
AK, I beg you, we need to share this video back to back.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because it takes these conversations and these questions, right? And this inquisitive mind to like, she's putting 1 and 2 together. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. What's going on here? And I really, really appreciate it.
Yep. Honestly.
So, Barack, you mentioned about men should speak up, right? What circumstances should women create, or what circumstances are conducive for men to be able to do that?
Honestly, I can give you. I have a ton of answers to that though, because there's one show I can die for. Kevin Simon. Sorry, I watch him like crazy, and I'll tell you why. He gave us men a voice where we're kind of voiceless, like we could not even speak, and I think men should not be shy to really express how they feel. I think men are a little bit timid on voicing out verbatim how they feel. It can be, I don't like the way you cook this soup. Too much Maggi, too much salt. You understand? I think we hold back too much, and we offer so much for us to just be silent. I think that's the first problem. People that we die and protect for, we can't even, we don't even know how to, express ourselves to them and say, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that. And I think it will kill us if we don't open our mouths. Closed mouths do not get fed. I'm sorry. Men, we have to be held responsible for that. Closed mouths do not get fed. If you have a disease and you're not going to see a doctor, you're going to die. So we need to treat it like an emergency. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and to add another one to that, though, I would say, and this is something we started doing with my group of friends as guys, being open in these conversations and sharing. because when you really share, you see what the struggles that like we're having on this platform right now. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine and just hearing what he was going through, because taking care of his parents, a mom was diagnosed with cancer. He had to provide the funds for it. His dad had kidney issues. He had to provide the funds for it. He's paying for their mortgage because they cannot work right now since both of them are not feeling very well. So he's paying for their mortgage and paying for his own mortgage at the same time. So a lot of financial pressure like on him, and he broke down to me crying.
Damn.
Like I'd never seen my friend cry like that, and I was so touched myself, like to the core, But these are things, conversations that in the past we will not really have them, even as men, man to man. Everybody will just be in their own corner, dying inside,
Yeah.
And the moment he started sharing about that, I too also felt free to share with him the things that I was also feeling, like the heat and the pressure I'm feeling, and things that I feel like why should I be responsible for this, and so on and so forth. And by the time we both left that conversation, we left like,
Wow.
that's how it felt, So more men need to be having these conversations
Men.
within their circles.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because I sat one day and one of my guy friends sent me a Cash App request for $300.
Mm-hmm.
Cash App. I picked up the phone immediately and called him and said, "What's your Zelle?"
Mm-hmm.
That's how we do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't ask questions. You just you kind of feel his pain.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, it is getting better these days, because of the awareness, social media and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even men are, trying to, getting into a position where they can seek some help from friends, family.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because Kevin Samuels brought this up in one of his videos, right? I never knew this. He was like, guys, how many homeless shelters are for men and how many homeless shelters are for women? And there's so many things, sometimes these videos that we watch on YouTube, if we us men really go and watch some of these videos, I promote it so much. Why? Because it's not negative. Some of it might be looked at as negative, social media growth. But I think this guy, he brought up a lot of key points where us men need to start talking amongst ourselves and be honest and be vulnerable. Because men lack vulnerability. Women are very good at, expressing how they feel. And that's why they get the most help.
Yeah.
That's where it really stems from, where, a woman might, the abuse case where 911 will come and a woman knows how to get attention. She knows how to cry for help and get help. When men, we kind of like soak it up and die, in our misery. I think we men have to like learn how to ask for help. And I think T, you brought this up really well. I think the first part is, seeking help either through the government or through therapy. I think therapy was another thing that Kevin was bringing up a lot in his videos, and I really appreciate that because there's so many levels of issues that men go through that they need to walk through therapy, because I think a lot of households are broken too because men don't go through therapy, they don't seek for help, and internally they pass it on to their wives, their kids, without even knowing it, And that's where that abuse with alcohol starts, abuse with having 10 different women because they're looking for an outlet, right? To vent. So I really think we need to start asking for help.
Yeah.
This next question is for you, right? So to circle back into the whole fatherhood, and I like that we kind of just diverted into, because it's also men's mental health. So it's like you guys are speaking. So this is really good. But to go back into the fatherhood topic, you being a girl dad, right? They said us girls, we're a little bit more softer and you got to be more, relax and chill with us. How do you plan on showing vulnerability to your daughter, and as a source of strength and not weakness? And how do you plan on going about that? How do you create space to be able to show strength and support? So like, I think it kind of goes back to the gentle parenting, like also being soft with your daughter, but also being firm and strict, like, okay, I'm your daddy and you a girl and you need to be taken care of. You're my princess, but also don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not the one to play with. How do you plan to go about that?
Oh man, that is so beautiful because I love my daughter so much. Like I call her my girlfriend, literally. And she responds, I was like, "Hi girlfriend, you're the sweetest girl in the whole wide." Then she said, "World." That's how you know that my heart is done. Yeah, literally. And I think men, we need that. We need to create that bond because I think women. I'll not lie to you. I see it in my family. I see it in the streets. Women, when they don't have a dad in their lives, I swear to you guys, right? They look for a man on the street to represent that dad, that missing link. They look for that. They look for that man because every woman, their first love is literally their dad, and if they don't get that from in-house, I think it really breaks them. So this question is so good, and I really love it. And to answer your question, I try my best to like we play, we go for walks. I even remember going to DJ, right, some nights and come back and wake my kids up to play. My wife can kill me, but I do it. The reason why I do it is because I miss them. Literally, I don't care how late. I literally wake them up and we play, we laugh, right? And I'll not lie to you, I go to sleep and leave them up with my wife. She can kill me. So those little things, I shower her. I'm not scared of showering her. I'm not scared of changing her diaper, seeing all those processes that women go through. It's really beautiful, right? And I love it. And it's just a bond that came, from how I grew up as well. We didn't shy away from my parents grew up, they raised us, to act as, a bundle where, don't be alone. You can break a broomstick, but you can't break a broom. So he taught us to always be together, family oriented. So that background, and I keep going back to family, family, family. I'm not kidding. Without that, literally, we're nothing. That's why you need that man and a woman in the house, right? To teach us, this is what a dad is supposed to do, this is what a mom is supposed to do. But I did see them fight. Don't get it twisted. They did fight. But for some reason, I don't know how our parents did it, but we're struggling, but we're happy. So, and I think that's what I'm trying to instill in my kids where, no matter what we go through, I'm always smiling with them. I'm always playful with them. But at the same time, I whoop, I pinch. And my pinch is really strong.
Okay.
So I keep that balance. That's what I was talking about, whooping them and still giving them like lollipop to suck, or still cuddling with them and telling them sorry, and still taking them out. Yep.
So 1 minute, please. You just did a very man thing right there, DJ Barack, and not to knock your answer, right? But I feel like you said everything and dodged the vulnerability piece of the question.
Mm-hmm. Explain.
So like you did everything, and that's wonderful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Showing your kids and this, and I feel like that is also a part why that's part of the problem that we're having as a disconnect with men and women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we're not seeing a lot of that vulnerability for men, in men,
Mm-hmm.
being displayed. So can you say all that again and include that vulnerability part?
I'm trying to
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand where.
So vulnerability literally is showing, it's being expressive in your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
being transparent with your emotions, right? A lot of us did not know when they may say the men in our life are suffering, or how do you teach that? How do you teach your child to own their emotions, to be emotionally intelligent? Because that also is part of the piece of the puzzle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage it for yourself, and how do you plan to transfer that to your daughter?
Jeez. Yeah. I hope I even understand that question because
hold on. Does age matter in terms of how you transfer that? Age should matter, right?
I don't think so.
How do you teach that to somebody who's like below 5, for example?
But it's just
They are
different to do.
Yeah, there are different life lessons are taught in different stages, right? So first of all, someone who's under 5, you as a parent, you are their emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
They feed off of your emotional intelligence. And then before you start to teach them as they go, when they start understanding, now you're not going to sit and start using big words like vulnerability, emotional intelligence, right? You start teaching them little things like, you hear somebody say, boys are not supposed to cry. No, we don't do that over here. That is part of teaching emotional intelligence, right? Teaching your daughter to maybe to read signs like, hey, right now, daddy's tired. I'll play with you in 2 hours time, for example. That is emotional intelligence. You don't have to crack open a psychology book, but there are different stages that you get to instill these things in your children.
I also think, just saying what you're saying, I also think when you're showing vulnerability, especially being like a girl, and like with my dad, like certain things you would have to do, like it's okay for my dad. If my dad is sad or stressed, it's okay for me to see. Like I'm okay. Like I want to help you. Granted, I can't help you with all your problems, but it's okay. Like you have somebody to sit here. I'll go and rub your back. Like it's okay. Like talk to me, vent to me. Just be okay. Like let us know. We want you to know that it's okay. You don't have to sit here and be this hard body protector and provider. Yes, that you are, but like you can feel sad. You can cry in front of us. You can because when we see things like that, especially us girls, like we get real soft and sweet, like, dang, our daddy, like, dang, like, this is like Brock said, my daddy's my first love. So when I see my daddy sad, I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't want nothing to happen to this man. I don't want, it's just a sweet spot. So, like, when we say emotional vulnerability, like,
yeah, like stuff like that. Yeah. Then that way, I guess we're answering it for you. We just continue. Right. That way we don't grow up knowing that men are invincible.
Yep.
Right. Because I never saw my brothers complain. I never saw my dad cry. Now, I'm not saying that you should take your problems to your children. I can't help you there. You understand? But if you are angry, it's okay to say, I don't know, daddy needs a minute. I'm angry right now. I need a minute. Or you see, like, let me see you go through the different emotions. It humanizes you. And that goes a long way. When I get a boyfriend too, and he's sad, now I'm not surprised, like, why is this
going on with you?
Guy over here acting like you hear things like, all the men in my family, I never did that. But your dad was dying.
I see.
So that's pretty much what I was saying, that these things, that's how it transfers. You transfer to your daughters, and then she takes that with her into her adult relationships. Now you're not looking at a man as somebody who
like, why you ain't got no emotion? And
that's why you see sometimes, not to hammer on your wife, Tabor, but you see a man will ask you $100 and you're surprised. Because the men never show things like that.
True.
Makes sense.
True.
I can definitely, I can give you scenarios. I see what you're saying. Makes sense. So the instances where I'll cut my hand, for instance, I've had multiple cuts because I'm handy, and I like dangerous stuff. I like woodworking. So the times where I'll cut my hand and she'll go bring me Band-Aid, I'll act like I'm crying. For instance, she'll go find me Band-Aid. Oh, Daddy, you hurt. I got a boo-boo. Then she'll bring the Band-Aid. There are times when I'll beg her for her to rub my back. I love it. Oh my goodness. There's some level of love, right, that comes from a child, right? I swear to you. It can't be explained. When you can have your kids do stuff for you, like you teach them like in the most early age, I swear to you, even when I get old, I can swear to you that I can see her rubbing my back. I can see it. I don't know why. I can literally just see it. And the reason why is because I'm creating this bond with us where I feel comfortable with her, she feels comfortable with me, where I can literally cry in front of her and she'll not look at it weird. And the way I'm doing that is I shower with her sometimes. We exchange. My wife showers with my son. I shower with my daughter sometimes, where she's comfortable with that in that space where it's not looked at as awkward or like like a predator.
Time out. When you say you shower,
Yeah.
You mean that you shower?
Butt naked.
Okay.
No, we shower together. Like butt naked, like raw.
Before, and I was okay. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Like it's really beautiful. I'll tell you why. Because when I say we shower, like we undress, we like I say shower time. We take off our clothes. We go into the shower. I will literally carry her. We play in the shower. We listen to music in the shower, like stuff that I never even imagined I could do. I find myself doing them, and it's weird. And I'm explaining to you guys, and it sounds weird, but it's beautiful to me. And there are times when she'll rub my ear, and it's annoying. I'll say stop. It's too much. She likes to cuddle. Like she likes me to hold her and cuddle with her. And her fun thing is to suck her thumb, and she's rubbing my ear. And I'm like, man, this is too much. Like she does it all the time. And sometimes I'll be like, cut it, time out. I need break, man. Or I'll try to do some work on my laptop, when I'm working, and she wants me to call her and work. I was like, nah, man, it's too much. Cut it out. Go see your mom. Or like kind of drive her away. And there's instances where we'll do some basic stuff like singing, and I'll tell her to stop and no more singing, enough. So I see a point where we're literally our natural state to our kids, and expressing ourselves in the most vulnerable way, like shower, for instance, where she sees my nakedness and she's able to shower with me, and it's not awkward, it's not perverted, you know what I mean? And I try not for it to be perverted. I make it seem like we're humans, I can care for you, you can care for me.
And AK, if it makes you feel better, it's not going to do it forever. When she's a teenager, he's not going to be showering with her.
Yeah.
We learn, right? We are learning new things,
Yeah.
We are learning to unlearn, and
Yeah.
So
because at this stage, like even my wife showers with my sons, 5 years old, 18 months old, like they see her like that. But of course, it doesn't mean that when they're probably teenagers, she's going to be doing that,
I think it was and Rich, that question, we'll see, or my next question. But I think that it does, because when, like you guys are saying, when you're younger, like obviously your dad is changing my diaper. My dad has seen literally everything. So at this point, obviously now I'm older. I mean, he's not seeing anything, but he's been there, done that. You get what I'm saying? So it's like at the end of the day, it's just more of a soft, like vulnerable, like okay,
exactly.
It's just my safe space in a sense.
Yes.
But my question, for like how going back to you being a girl dad, and you, like your wife being of like from a different culture and background and things like that, do you, and then also incorporating your culture as well, are there like things that maybe you can show, or that you have set in stone, or maybe that you've had discussions with your wife to say, hey, this is how I want to raise our daughter, or this is how I would like to go, her upbringing moving forward and things like that? Have you guys had that conversation where it's just like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that? Or, maybe like when I say going back to culture, like maybe there's something in your Indian culture that maybe is just presented towards the daughter that maybe, like things like that. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. So
I can add to that. I can add to that question for him. Yeah. Actually, I was curious about this. So Varish, let me say you're Hindu or you're Muslim and your wife is Christian. How do you guys go about educating your daughter to either choose which religion supersedes the other in that aspect?
Okay, so I'll answer the first part, then take up your question after that. So we talked about a few things in terms of how we raise our daughter. So, for example, we me and my wife, like we eat only chicken in terms of meat. We don't eat any other meat, right? So we talked about not giving her any meat till she turns 5 or 6. So that's what I told. And my wife agreed to that. That is one thing, because I want her to. In India, we have a family god, right? So every family has their own god. and we have to go and visit that God first, right? So, and then you can eat meat or anything. So, first thing is God. And also, I told my wife that we would not be cutting her hair till we visit the temple. So we have that's a cultural thing. We firstborn baby, so we have to at least give like a strain of hair for the god. So we go there and do it. So until then, no cutting hair, no going to the salon shop or anything. So how much our hair goes, that's it. So we cut the hair first there, and then we can go to the salon shop. So we agreed on two of these things, and I also told that I would be teaching her my language. So when she growing up, so it's too early for that, but she has to start talking first, English. Then slowly I will, I have to find ways. I have ideas, but I have to find ways to teach her because it's really hard. And my wife, she doesn't talk my language, so it's really hard. So she has to have an environment. We still have to figure out. I still have to figure out ways how to do that. Yeah, that's even though we have cultural differences. I told like what are my thoughts on what are the things she should be doing as a kid, or what are the things I want her to be doing. So my wife agreed for that. So that's one thing. And about the religion part, uh, I believe in Hinduism, but I'm not a very practicing Hindu. I pray, and I go to temple sometimes, but I'm not a very religious guy in terms of practicing, right? Because I don't know if you guys know, in Hinduism we don't have one book, one god. It's a multiple gods, multiple books. It's an open architecture basically, right? Like it's something like that. You can still be not believing in the god, and you can still be a Hindu. The religion allows that. So if there is no hard and fast rule that you have to pray this certain way, read this certain book, do this certain way. So there is no hard and fast rule. So that makes it easier. I'm accepting, and my wife she's also not a religious person. Even though she was raised Christian, she's not into going to church or like practicing anything of that stuff. So it becomes easier. So for my baby, she can. I will try to teach whatever I know about the Hinduism, and I would encourage my wife to teach her, whatever she knows about Christianity, and let her decide what she wants and what she wants to do.
That's how you know that Viris is a tech person. When open architecture,
Open source. It's open source.
We plug in those keywords.
When I said open architecture, I was like, yo. That was a good one.
Yeah, good catch though.
Makes a lot of sense.
I'm telling you, it makes a lot of sense. Cool.
Anyways, 2 y'all good? Any last questions there before we close? Gentlemen, Barack, real quick, closing. What conclusions you got? Real quick. Go ahead.
Could we please share this crate back to back? I really loved it.
Yeah,
I
that was a solid one.
I literally learned from like every single one. Like I was like folding my arms, I'm like shaking my head, like this is dope. AK, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Varish, what conclusions you got, man?
First of all, thanks for inviting me for this podcast. It was real fun and thought-provoking, and really nice to meet all these beautiful people, wonderful people, and it was really nice conversation. I thought I would be like really nervous. I mean, I was little nervous, but it was my first time. But it did go well than I expected for me.
Wow.
So I really appreciate that. And as this is a Father's Day topic, and I would like to wish everyone a happy Father's Day.
Amen. Same
Happy
to you.
Father's Day.
Happy Father's
Same to you
Day.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
That means you do podcasting again?
Absolutely. It's coming back.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your culture with us.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've learned a lot.
beautiful.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, I always talk about, my Indian friend who always has topics for the podcast,
He
always
literally
suggestions.
Oh, really?
So it's you. He always tells us, okay, it's you.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
And so, we always talk about this podcast and stuff like that at work.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Hey, I got one more suggestion.
Shoot.
We need to start bringing our spouses.
Yeah,
Say less.
that's a good one.
I'm here for it.
Say less.
I'm here for it.
Because I got some
Say
questions
less.
for them.
That is a good one.
Whatever happens to your marriage when you leave your
Disclaimer.
husband, it's not my
Disclaimer.
problem.
It's on us.
But I
Questions.
love that idea.
Yeah.
Couples, let's go.
Please.
Watch
Please, Wema.
watch out what you wish for.
Yeah.
What you wish I did.
Please, when my wife comes, ask her about that $100 that she gave me.
I will make a note.
Yes.
Now we gotta know what this book she read was about. But what's your conclusion?
Oh yeah, no. My conclusion is that, like everybody has said, this was really amazing. As Father's Day is coming up, I don't know when this is going to be released, but to the wives and girlfriends and partners, please take care of your men.
Amen.
On this Father's Day, please make sure you take care of them. And to the men who will be watching this, want to really wish you a happy Father's Day. And if possible, try to get some rest. Try to get some rest. The world is not going to. You're not going to solve the world's problems.
Yep.
So take a step back, breathe in, relax, and also share more. You don't have to die in silence. Talk to your fellow men in the struggle, and together we can make this happen. Let's do this.
Period. Clock
Yeah.
that. We love our fathers. Go and
Yes.
get fathers flowers, because Barack is saying we don't get flowers and balloons. So please go to the
Please.
beginning of flowers. Please.
Yeah, no, I'm serious because I think after losing my dad in 2009, it actually hit home. Until they die before you start seeing that real value. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I have siblings, I have cousins that are crying to today. That void that after he left, right? Nobody's able to fill. Why? Because nobody's still sending them those $2 that he used to send. Nobody's still catering to their basic needs, right? So that void is done. So now they're suffering now because there's nobody there to cater to them in that aspect. So I think it's so important that men, no matter who you die for, you still have, life will move on.
Life will move on.
We have to learn to enjoy ourselves. Oh, no
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Don't just enjoy and die on enjoyment.
Period.
No, like
I'll send you guys.
Something must kill a man.
No comments.
no, something should not be the one that they come and pull you out of it. You know what I mean? We just move. Sorry, Tutu, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'll go and send you guys individually on your Instagram flower emoji. That's a cool.
Hey.
Hey, go give you guys a flower.
Love it.
Get
You send us
flowers.
Cash App. Yeah.
Huh?
I said, what I was thinking, you said you send us Cash App.
Here you go. Everybody's giving you guys your flowers and you're talking cash out.
Yeah.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
Yep.
Baby steps.
Yep, that works.
Baby steps.
Yep. All right. Anyways, man, this was beautiful. Thank you guys. You know, you guys could have been anywhere in the world, you know, probably DJing or creating architectures, you know. You guys chose to be here, so we greatly appreciate it. We thank the ladies, you know, for the dope questions that you guys asked today. You know, bring more dope questions next time, you know, and hopefully we don't get to Barack's suggestion. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and leave comments at the bottom. You know, if you have questions or your own comments as well, you know, we would love to hear from you. We'd love you guys to experience your stories too as well. So when we drop this, light up, what's that thing? TikTok. Just wait only to attack the rest for no reason. This one, let's light it up. Let's keep it going. So yeah. Anyways, thank you guys, and we outie.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Good night.